I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the October 22nd, 2017 edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details, as we look at often overlooked details from well-known biblical passages. And as you know, we're in a continuing multi-session presentation on the Exodus narrative. Today, we're going to be looking at chapter 32, the very beginning of it. Moses has gone away up into the mountains to meet with God. He has not told them, nor do I think he knew himself, how long he was going to be gone. And it is now 40 days. He has been gone 40 days, which appears to be far longer than he had ever gone away before to speak with the Lord. Now, in retrospect, we know what's going on. We know that God is schooling Moses in all of the regulations, in all of the ways in which he wants the nation of Israel to be run. And it's going to be summarized in the Ten Commandments. And God is, right at that very moment, writing the Ten Commandments with his own finger. It says, with the finger of God. But of course, the people down in the valley don't know this. They don't know what's going on. And Moses has been gone for 40 days. Because this is the longest that Moses has ever been away, it is highly unlikely that Moses himself thought he would be gone that long. And so it's doubtful that he took many provisions. And so there is some justification for the Israelites worrying about what has become of this man, Moses. But in verses 1 through 4, we see that while they may have a somewhat justified reason for concern, they act on it in a very improper way. It says that basically they turned on Aaron. The connotation in the Hebrew is to come against him and to with kind of a veiled threat of violence. And they demand that he make a god for them. Now, it appears, and scholars seem to think, that it's not that they really believed that the famous golden calf, that golden calf had led them out of Egypt. They knew that that was not true. But they were steeped in the Egyptian way of thinking that gods inhabited the statues of that were given to them, that were meant to honor them. And so they wanted a God that they could see. Of course, we know that this was not at all what the Lord wanted. He was at that very moment writing the second commandment, that you will not make idols of me. And so we see that at the very moment that God is expressing his heart to Moses, we see contrary the heart of man, that man wants to be able to control and to see God, and he will make up a representation of God if he must. And there is so much more to say about this, but let us suffice it to say that in the ancient world there was certainly a reason for the golden calf. In the Hebrew, calf is really better defined as young bull. If you know anything about the mythologies of the ancient East and Mideast, you know that the bull was a form of virility and a very common symbol of a god. In the palace of Knossos in Crete, thought to be the origin of the myth of the Minotaur, we know that there were bull jumpers who, as part of religious ceremonies, would literally do gymnastic flips over and across bulls. We see the bull was very big, you might say, very important in the polytheistic religion in Egypt. But it's not just there; it's all through that region of the ancient world. So what were they doing? What were the Israelites trying to do? They were trying to go back to something that they were familiar with, something they were comfortable with, something Egyptian, because that's where they had been slaves. Now, we've talked many times on this program that things that happen in the Old Testament are supposed to be seen in terms of a precursor or a shadow of the work of Jesus Christ, and as a lesson to us in our Christian walk. One of the things that the golden calf shows us is how easy it is for even people who have been blessed by God, who have seen his miracles up close and personal, who have been assured that he is on their side in a very personal way, that even those of us that know better, we seem to want to go back to what we know, even if it's the world. Egypt represents sin and the ways of the world, the ways before we have been enlightened to the glory of God. And that is exactly what the Israelites were trying to do by having a golden calf made to represent God. There was a real problem here, and that is not how God intends to be worshipped. Let us be sure that we, on this other side of the cross, do not return to the old habits of our Egyptian slavery days when we were enslaved to sin before we knew better. Let us not return to familiarity when we've been called to something much greater. Visit me tomorrow on the next edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great night.